Hello everyone, welcome to Unapologetically Keto. My name is Ralph Peterson, and let's all just take a collective breath together. What a week. What a week. Oh, let me see. There's the other fat Ralph over there. If you're new here, all those pictures behind me are indeed me. I used to weigh a nice old round number of around 350 pounds, and this show is my journey on keto and on a GLP-1. I am taking Zepbound, and I am doing a pretty rigorous fasting protocol. So all three of those things, keto, GLP-1, fasting, that's what you're going to hear about from me and from this show. I come live every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. East Coast Standard Time and share what's been going on, what I've been learning, how I'm doing, how I'm feeling. And I got to tell you that I have had the highest of highs this week, and not the lowest of lows, but like a lot of scratching my head this week, just kind of really, really interesting. I had a chance doctor's appointment yesterday, and I hadn't been to the VA doctor, for about a year or since August. So what is that, maybe 6 months now since I've been to the VA. And the last time I was at the VA for a doctor's appointment, I actually went and signed up for a move class, because in August I was doing some research on GLP-1s, and I was wondering if I qualified for a GLP-1. Would a GLP-1 help me? I mean, I knew nothing about Ozempic or Zepbound or any of these things in August of 2025. And so I reached out to my doctor and I said, hey, is there any way that VA is offering any of this information? And he said yes, but of course you have to, in order to get the prescription, you actually have to attend a class, like a 4 or 6 week class, which is, you know what, it is what it is. I mean, that's normal. I remember 10, 15, let me see now, I guess, around 14, 15 years ago, I remember when I was at my heaviest, I asked my doctor if I qualified for a gastric bypass. And the doctor was like, well, you have to take a class in order to qualify. So you have to take this class and you have to be able to lose weight and demonstrate that you can lose weight before you actually become eligible for a gastric bypass. And I could not demonstrate losing weight, and so and honestly, I'm not very good at attending nutrition classes, only because I got to tell you, the first time I took a nutrition class with the military, I was in the Marine Corps and I was struggling with a little bit of weight, and I've been struggling with weight always, and so they sent me to a nutrition class, and it was given by this young lady, woman, she's, in her 40s, very little, very petite, and she, man, just to think about not only the foods that she was suggesting us eat, which is all carbs, low fat, that kind of food. This was back in the 90s, and so low carb was all the thing. Low fat was all the rage. Not low carb, high carb, low fat. That was all the rage. And she would make comments that just kind of like, she would make a comment like, I'm the same size as I was in high school. And I would think to myself, why are you teaching a class to fat people how to lose weight if you've never had to lose weight? I mean, if you're the same size you were in high school, I mean, my buddy Devin could say, I'm the same size I was in high school, because he was heavy in high school. Okay, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, Okay. I was fat then, I'm fat now. Okay, but she wasn't saying that. And she would brag about the food that she ate. She would eat a half of an English muffin. That's right, 1/4. But she didn't say 1/4. She said, I always eat just a half of an English muffin. I was like doing the math in my head. What the heck is a half of a half? Do you mean 1/4 of an English muffin fills you up? What are you talking about? Anyway, so I sign up for this MOVE class. Is what they call it, a MOVE class for the Marine Corps, for the military. And I go to the VA and I go to the MOVE class, and this is August. So this is early August 2025. And so the food pyramid had not been updated. I know it's been updated now. Thank God. But it wasn't at the time. And so, they're sharing the food. Now, mind you, also, I've already been doing keto unsuccessfully, to be fair, completely unsuccessfully. But I've been doing keto at the time for like a year, almost a year and a half, really trying my hardest to figure out how to be keto, carnivore, how to reduce sugar, reducing carbs. Like, I had done a pretty good job reducing sugar and reducing carbs, but I was still gaining weight. I was still fat and miserable. I weighed 259.6 pounds when I went to that class. And the reason I know that is because I just got my grade a D+, which I could not be happy. I'm going to share the results with you. But so the class was all, you got to eat, oatmeal, egg whites, spray butter, not real butter, like all the things. They're just touting the low fat, high carb diet that they were, everybody was talking about, whatever, in August of last year. Even, again, in the 90s, that was the big message. So even last year in August. And at the, they give the booklets, and they're like, you have to sign up, you have to fill out this, you have to, do this reading and fill this thing out every week. And of course, I don't do any of it. All I want is a prescription for GLP-1, so I don't have to pay for it. Because I don't do the work, I don't follow up, I don't do all the homework, they never qualify me for the GLP-1, so they never give it to me, so I eventually start paying for it myself. I hire an outside pharmacy to send me it's called Row, actually. Row is, and now Lilly Direct is direct to consumer, which is good, but at the time I was just doing the Row. So they're sending me every week, they're sending me emails. Hey, fill out this form, fill out that form, read this, answer the questions on that. And I don't do any of it. But at the end of that first class, they said, if anybody is interested, we do have a DEXA scan. And I was like, what is a DEXA scan? And they're like, well, the DEXA scan measures your body composition, how much fat you have, how much muscle you have, your bone structure, like, it'll measure all of that, your weight, all that, water retention, whatever. And I'm like, absolutely, let's do it. So I dive in, and it wasn't an actual DEXA scan where you lay down into a machine. It's one of those where you stand up on it barefoot and you hold onto a couple of probes on the side. And they do a little DEXA scan, and they hand me my DEXA scan sheet. And I'll tell you what it said here. So it said that I weighed 259.6 pounds. My skeletal muscle mass was 97.2, and my body fat percentage was 34.5. Can we say obese? On the way to diabetes city, right? Like, give me some type 2 diabetes. I'm literally like 1% body fat away from being pre-diabetic. Well, no, I'm pre-diabetic at 34.5% body fat, but if I had reached that 35 threshold, 35%, that's when, they're taking precautionary measures because I'm right on the cusp of being diabetic. And they're telling me to eat oatmeal and, egg whites, and got to avoid butter at all costs. And so yesterday I have a doctor's appointment at the VA, and I have a little time to kill. And I was like, I wonder if I can run back to that clinic and get another one of these body scans. I would love, oh my God, would I just absolutely love to know where I am with this body scan. And so I go in and I'm like, hi, excuse me. I was here like 6 months ago, and I tell her the story. And she's like, yeah, I vaguely remember you. I don't think you ever followed up. You never did anything. And I was like, yeah, I know. Sorry about that. And she goes, well, yeah, I mean, I had a appointment canceled, so I'll let you do it. No worries. Next time you have to make an appointment. I'm like, okay, sorry, peace and love. So she has me jump on that thing. She prints out. This is the actual paper here. She prints it out, and she's looking it over, and she's like, wow, this is really good. This is really good. And I was like, yeah. I'm like, give me the piece of paper. Come on. I want to see this piece of paper. And she's like, this is really, really good. And so I'm going to share it with you. But she's like, you cut your body fat percentage in half. And I'm like, I did? Like, holy, like, that is crazy. I went from 34.4% to what? Like, what is half? I'm thinking, like, what is half of 34%? Like, give me that damn piece of paper. It turns out, right this second, friends, I am 17.5% body fat. Holy moly, 17.5%. Here, let me show it to you. I'm not going to keep you in suspense. This is the InBody body scan that they did. Where's my pen so I can write on my little sheet here? So this is what we're looking at first and foremost. This was my starting weight, 259.6. This is what I weighed yesterday morning, which, by the way, I was a little miffed at because when I woke up yesterday morning, I weighed myself, I was at 293.4. And then, a few hours later, here I am at 193.4. And then a couple hours later, here I am, it's 196. I was like, well, this morning I was actually lighter. They're like, well, so what? My skeletal muscle mass went from 97.2 to 91.7. And I was like, oh no, is that bad? Because everybody says that one of the downfalls of a GLP-1 is you're going to lose muscle mass. You're going to lose muscle mass. And I'm like, please don't let that be true, because I've really been working hard. I work out 5 days a week with weights, resistance. I mean, I'm not obviously in bodybuilder shape or anything like that, nor do I want to be, but I'm not just a couch potato. I'm not just, not doing anything. I'm pretty active intentionally, And so she's like, no. She's like, going from 97.2 to 91.7, that's so little difference. It's not an indicator that you're losing massive amounts of muscle mass. So don't look at it like that. I'm like, okay, whew, thank God. But this right here, this is the big number. Let me move my little head out of the way here. This is the big number. I went from a percentage of body fat from 34.4% to 17.5%. Now, what does all that mean for a DEXA scan? This right here, this analysis right here, this is what she told me is the most significant reading on the whole graph. And you either are going to have an I, a D, or a C. An I looks like this. This is an I. You have all three of these numbers to be identical. So your weight, your musculoskeletal, and your body fat, your mass would all just be a straight line. All of these would be in line with each other. A C would be like this. A C would be like this, where your muscle mass is way low. It's this way compared to your weight and your body percentage. And that is what she calls skinny fat. When people are thin, but they clearly are overweight, like they have a belly, like they're skinny or they're small, but they have low muscle mass is what she means. That's a C. A C is, of course, no bueno. She goes, but the best thing that you can have is a D. And a D looks like this, where your skeletal muscle mass exceeds your weight and your body mass, your percentage of body mass. And so she said she gives me a D+. And I was like, I will take it. I can't believe it. I'm feeling fantastic about this D+, like this idea that I've lost weight. I've lost 65 pounds. Haven't lost really any muscle mass, and my body fat percentage has been cut in half. And so I am so happy. I'm grinning from ear to ear. And she says, what does she say, do you think? She says, I'm so happy this program is working for you. And I was like, oh, right. I actually didn't follow your program. I got a different doctor and followed her program. And she was like, oh, what doctor? And I go, her name's Dr. Annette Bosworth, Dr. Boz. I don't know if you've ever heard of her. She's like, no, what program does she follow? And I said, keto. She goes, oh, you're doing keto. I said, yes. And I want to say, I'm about to say, I'm not just doing keto. I'm also on a GLP-1, Zepbound, and I'm doing fasting. But I can't get past keto before she goes, oh, well, have you had your cholesterol checked? I was like, hold on. I said, hold on. I just want to be clear. Just let me clarify. I want to be sure I'm hearing you correctly. I haven't lost any muscle. I have lost weight, 65 pounds, in 6 months. And I've cut my body fat percentage in half. You give me a D+ saying that is of the best DEXA scan, a result that you'd be looking for on a DEXA scan. And when I tell you I'm doing keto, now all of a sudden none of that matters, because now you're questioning whether I have high cholesterol, as if that's the difference maker. And she says, well, cholesterol is the leading cause of heart disease. And I go, no, it isn't. Inflammation is the leading cause of heart disease. She goes, not really. I was like, okay, forget it. Can I have the printout? Can I please take it back with me? I want to show Dr. Boss my printout. Let me go find a doctor who knows what the heck they're talking about. So I'm super excited over my DEXA scan. I'm super excited over having the D and losing so much body fat and not losing any muscle mass and the weight, all good things. Will she finally one day understand that cholesterol's not the issue? It's the sugar, it's the carbs, it's the oatmeal, it's the egg whites. Maybe, hopefully, maybe not. I don't know, with peace and love. Here's the second best piece of news. The second best piece of news, if you've been following me for a little bit, last week before, you know that I've been struggling with ketosis. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. My body's just making weird adjustments. I don't know. Maybe. And I was talking to my buddy Devin today, and he and I do the same thing. If we're going to go out to eat, we generally go to Buffalo Wild Wings. Just love Buffalo Wild Wings because their wings are plain. You can get them just grilled with nothing on them, no sauce or anything like that. So that's perfect. And then you can get a cheeseburger, double cheeseburger. You can get a triple bacon cheddar cheeseburger from Wild Wings. No bun. You keep the sides. We don't want no fries or anything like that. Just a burger, just a chicken wings. Sounds perfect. And I've done that for the last couple of weeks, like a Thursday or a Friday night, even a Saturday night, whatever. Not every day. I mean, I fast 3 days a week. So keep that in mind. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Sunday night, Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I just broke my fast a couple of hours ago, and I'm having a miserable time with it. I'll talk about it. I'm still trying to figure out how to manage coming off of a fast because I'm still not doing it well. I'm just simply not doing it well. So I was talking to Devin this morning, and he's like, he goes, he too is struggling to get into a state of ketosis. And I've been consistently in a state of ketosis for like 15 weeks, and then the last couple of weeks I've been struggling. So much so that last week I did not do a water fast. It was the first time I didn't do a water fast since I started doing water fast back in September with Dr. Boz. And if you don't know who Dr. Boz is, just look up Dr. Boz on YouTube. She goes live every Tuesday night, 4 p.m. East Coast Standard Time. Do yourself a favor and watch Dr. Boz every Tuesday night. Watch every video she puts out. Subscribe to her newsletter. Buy her book. It's over here somewhere. Any way you can. With peace and love. Any way you can. Get your health under control. Holy moly. What started the conversation this morning is my buddy Devin. He sent me sent me a text, and it was of Congresswoman Casio Ortiz. What is her name? Ortiz. She's from right here in New York. I'm going to tell you. Hold on. I'm going to look it up. It was. Oh, come on. What is her name? All right. I can't think of her name. It is Ortiz. Ortiz. Oh. Cortez. Miss Cortez. I don't know. I don't remember her name and I can't pronounce it, so I apologize. No disrespect. Anyway, she was grilling an executive from CVS Pharmacy, and she did a brilliant job. She was outlining the loop of how CVS Pharmacy owns the insurance company that buys, that writes prescriptions or pays for the prescriptions for CVS Pharmacy. And they also own the doctor network that writes the prescriptions. They own the insurance company that you pay the insurance company for. They own the doctors that are prescribing the medication, and they own the pharmacy that the doctors are writing the pharmacy those prescriptions to. And she's like, you don't see this as a monopoly? Like, this is not in the best interest of the consumer? And of course, this guy's like, no, I don't see any problem with it. And that's the problem with corporate medicine. So my buddy Devin reached out to me this morning with that video and saying, this is why we have to be so diligent and so invested in learning and studying about our own health. And he is 100% right. So anyway, that's how we got caught up in this whole conversation. And we were talking about our Buffalo Wild Wing trek, and he was saying that he thinks that maybe one of the problems with Buffalo Wild Wings for him is that it's all protein and there's no fat. Like, they're giving you chicken wings, deep fried chicken wings, and a couple of burger patties with a piece of bacon on it and cheddar cheese. There's not a lot of fat. And so that's interesting, because my friend Pam, so I have a group that meets every Friday. It's a little keto group called Carb Dodgers, because I'm cute. That's why I named it Carb Dodgers. And it's a group of us who all attended Dr. Boz's class. And by the way, if anybody's interested in joining Carb Dodgers, shoot me an email. Let me know. More than happy to have you on. Part of the group. It's just a support group where we check in with each other and we look at each other's numbers. We all are measuring our blood. You upload your blood test every day using Keto Mojo. Mine is somewhere here, and we're just helping each other out. And my friend Pam, she was saying that she had amazing ketones this past week. And the way that she did it, she thinks, because we're all learning, we're all experimenting, right? She says she thinks that what she did right this time was she started with a fat fast, meaning she had an awful lot of fat before she went into her 3-day water fast. And coming out of so she starts with a lot of fat, and then she comes out of her 3-day water fast, and her ketones were huge, and her glucose was low, which is exactly what we want, right? And I was like, interesting, because again, I think maybe I've been having too much protein, not enough fat. So on Sunday, I decide that I'm going to eat an entire stick of butter. Yeah, an entire stick of butter. And I'm going to do what she did. I'm going to try to do a fat forward. I'm going to overload on fat on Sunday and just see how my numbers ride throughout the rest, because I'm fasting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I just want to see. And you're not going to believe the results. This is, let me show it to you. Not you. Okay. All right. Let's go back here. So this is, let me move myself to the other side here. Let me show you this. This is so every day I do a finger stick and I check my glucose levels and my ketone levels every day. And as you can see, from January 24th, right here, I had a ketone level of 0.3. Now, from what I understand, and you correct me if I'm wrong, of course, because I'm still learning, and my goodness, if this week taught me anything, I'm going to get to it. But I ran into a neighbor friend who is a cardiologist, a heart doctor. I ran into him in the grocery store, and we had quite an engaging 10-minute conversation where he blew my mind on the amount of stuff that I didn't know that was really wild. And he blew my mind on what he didn't know, which was also pretty wild. I'm going to get into it. Anyway, this week, like I said, it's been like a high and not so low, but this has just been an interesting week of up and down, of understanding, of learning, of research, it's been a great week for the day of the life of Ralph Peterson. I'm going to tell you. All right, so January 24th, that was 10 days ago. My ketones dropped to 0.3. I don't know why. I don't know what I did wrong. Look at my glucose, 108. 108. Again, what is happening? I don't know. My body's just acting all weird. And so for the next few days, I am struggling. 0.6, 0.8. I finally get 1.1. Then I get 1.4. Now, this here, I got to tell you, this 1.6, this is a sardine fast. I start eating, so instead of doing a water fast, I decide I'm going to do a sardine fast for 3 days, 72 hours, because Dr. Boz says if you find yourself out of a state of ketosis, the best way to get back in is with sardines. And so I'm like, all right, listen, Dr. Boz has basically changed my life, saved my life, dare I say. So I'm going to listen to whatever she says. She says, you suck down at least 2 cans of sardines a day for 3 days, and that'll put you back in a state of ketosis. I'm listening. So here it is. Look at this. Here we go. This is actually day 1. So day 1, 0.8, day 2, 0.1, day 3 of my sardine fast, my ketones shoot up to 1.4. Again, from what I understand, anything over a 1.0 is nutritional state of ketosis. So I'm feeling fabulous. I'm feeling great about it. And not only that, but look at this glucose level, 71. So on the day that my ketones are the highest, my glucose is the lowest. I mean, with peace and love, that's what I want to see. Then I start eating regular. And look at this. The next day, 0.2, 1.2, 0.8, 0.8, 0.8, 0.6. This 0.6 is Sunday, this past Sunday. Pam, my friend Pam, on Friday told me about the fat fast. Sunday morning, around 1 o'clock, I take my blood. I'm at 0.6. And I'm like, what is happening? I literally went from a 1.4 ketone from a 3-day sardine fast. And trust me, friends, if you've not done a 3-day sardine fast, it's not fun. It's easier to not eat for 3 days than it is to eat 2 cans of sardines a day for 3 days with peace and love. So I do all that work, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to be in a nutritional state of ketosis. Like, look at this. This is after a 3-day fast. I'm at 3.5 ketones, which is amazing. And then I drop down to 1.2, a 1.4, and then a 1.4, and then a 1.7. Like, that's my normal. After my 3-day fast, that's my normal rest of the week, and then I jump back into a 3-day fast, and my ketones go back up. And they come down a little bit, then they go back up. Then they come down a little bit, and they go back up. But they've never dropped to 0.3 before. And they've never been just hovering down around 0.6, a 0.8, a 0.9. And so I'm very concerned. And so here it is, Sunday morning, February 1st, 1 p.m., I'm at 0.6, and I think about my friend Pam, and I'm like, you know what, Pam? I'm going to give it a shot. Like, what else do I have to lose, right? I'm going to give it a shot. So I pull out a stick of butter, frozen stick of butter. I chop it all up into bite-sized pieces, and I painstakingly chop my way through that entire stick of butter. I'm telling you, it was difficult. I wasn't enjoying it. I was getting sick. My stomach was hurting. I was like, what am I mean, it was eating a whole stick of butter. If you've not done it, it is rough. It was hard. But then, look at this. The next day, I checked my blood at 5:30. Now, this is 24 hours in. This is 26, 27 hours in to my water fast. So I've not eaten anything for at least 24 hours. My ketones, all of a sudden, up to 1.0. And I'm like, well, 0.6 to 1.0 in 24 hours. All right, maybe I'm onto something. We'll see. Day 2, yesterday, look at this. My glucose dropped. First of all, look at this glucose. Look at this glucose on February 2nd. My ketones were 1. My glucose was 95. Still way too high. Still way too high. But then look at this. February 3rd, yesterday, my glucose drops to 74, which, love that. My ketones raised to 2.5. I'm like, Pam is like the ketone whisperer. Like, she knows exactly what she's doing. I'm like, this is amazing, right? And then today, friends, you can already see it. Can't you see it? The blue line is ketones. The brown line is glucose. Look at this. This is after 72 hours of fasting. I started with fat-forward eating on Sunday. I did have, in addition to a stick of butter, I did have 2 hamburger patties. And those 2 hamburger patties were, I think, like 3 or 4 ounces each. So I probably had like 6 to 8 ounces of hamburger patties with a little bit of cheese and a stick of butter. That's all I had on Sunday. So I had like 85% fat, 15% protein on Sunday. And then now look at this. 3 days later on a water fast, my glucose is 67 and my ketones are at a 4.0. I mean, why anybody is not clapping for me? How come nobody's clapping? That is amazing. And this is the thing I want to show you. Look at this. This is the best part. This is the best part. I'm going to show it to you. Look at that DBR. Let me see. Can you see that? Look at that DBR. That Dr. Boz ratio of a 16, friends. A DBR of 16. Fat forward for the win. I mean, come on, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. All right. Enough bragging about me. Let's talk about my cardiologist friend, my doctor friend. I run into him in Restaurant Depot, of all places. So I'm in Restaurant Depot. If you're going to eat a lot of meat, friends, shop at Restaurant Depot or Costco, whatever. Anyway, so I'm in Restaurant Depot, and just by chance, I run into my neighbor who is a cardiologist. And I've known him for a few years. We're not super close at all. I know he's a cardiologist. He knows that I'm a fat person who is struggling with keto. And every time, I talk to him, we used to walk our dogs together. And I don't have a dog anymore. But when I had a dog, we used to walk our dogs together. We'd run into each other and, I'd be fluctuating with weight. He'd be like, oh, you look like you lost a little weight. I'm like, I'm doing keto. And he's, oh, you got to be careful with that keto and watch your cholesterol. And I'd be like, cholesterol doesn't matter. Well, it really does. And, so we'd have that little playful banter every now and again, but nothing real serious, no real in-depth conversation. I would love to. I would welcome it. I want to have him on my show. Come sit down with me and let's talk about all the things you know, and let's talk about all the things I know, because and by the way, I want to say this. I'm open to learning. I'm open to being wrong. I'm open to being corrected. I want to get it right. I want to live. I want to live my best life. I want to be the healthiest I can be. I'm done. And I don't want to do it for vanity reasons. I want to do it for heart reasons, for health reasons, for blood reasons, for mitochondria reasons, for brain reasons. I'm sincere in that. I'm willing to do the work. I'm willing to do the reading. I'm willing to be wrong. I'm willing to be corrected. I'm willing to learn. So he hasn't seen me in a few months, and he sees me and he goes, "Holy moly, you look like you're half your size." And I said, and my wife says, he's lost like 60 pounds. And he says, that sounds like the shot. And I don't understand what he means at first, because the word, that turn of phrase, that sounds like a shot, could be a positive. Like, now that's the ticket, right? Like, that's the shot. He shoots, he scores. Like, and so at first I don't know how he means it. And so I'm kind of like, yeah, that's and then I'm like, do you mean GLP-1? And he's like, oh yeah, a GLP-1. I was like, and then I kind of laughed because I was like, thinking to myself, are you judging me? Are you judging me? Are you judging me? And the answer, of course, is, why, yes, I am judging you. And not too kindly, by the way. Looks like the shot. Nobody's losing 60 pounds in 6 months without the shot. So I come clean as fast as possible. As soon as I realize it, I'm like, oh, yeah, you mean the GLP-1? Yes, absolutely. I am on a GLP-1. I'm taking Zepbound. And then he goes, oh, well, if you're going to take a GLP-1, Zepbound is the best one. I go, I know, I agree. It's because it has the 2 hormones. And he's like, exactly, because it has the 2 hormones. And so there's this little tiny bit, little nod of recognition where I'm almost, because I'm using like medical speak in a way where he's kind of like, oh, maybe he knows something, like maybe Ralph's been doing his homework, right? And but I don't stop there. I go, I'm not only doing Zepbound, but I'm also following a very strict keto diet, and I'm fasting. And he says, why are you doing keto? Why are you doing keto? And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, you don't need to do keto if you're doing the shot. If you're doing the shot, you don't need to do anything else except the shot. I was like, well, the shot is good for weight loss. The shot isn't good for health. And he's like, well, I'm not saying the shot is healthy. And I was like, well, wait a minute. Wait, you're taking it to the... I'm not saying the shot is unhealthy. I think the shot is healthy. I'm not saying it isn't healthy, but not being on a ketogenic diet is not good for you. I mean, you correct me if I'm wrong. You're the cardiologist. But from what I understand, inflammation is bad for the heart, isn't it? And he's like, yeah, of course. I was like, okay, well, the only diet that I'm aware of, and again, maybe I've only tried 600 diets, but you tell me. This guy, by the way, probably could lose. What am I trying to say? Could use to lose? Isn't that the turn of phrase? Like, you could use a little. He could lose 25 pounds, maybe, but that's it. Like, he's not a heavy guy. He doesn't look like he's probably ever really been a heavy guy. And no judgment here. I'm not hating on non-fat people. I know that sounds weird because most people hate fat people. I try not to hate skinny people by default. I don't mind skinny people, but as long as you, if you don't understand the struggle of a really overweight person, then with peace and love, maybe extend a little grace. Maybe try to understand, put yourself in their shoes, even if it's impossible to do so. Try to do that. Anyway, I'm just saying he's never really been. It doesn't seem. I've only known him for a few years, so I haven't known him his whole life. What do I know? But he doesn't seem like he struggles with weight, is all I'm trying to say. And so I'm like, what diet is better than keto to reduce inflammation? And he's like, well, I mean, if you want to reduce inflammation, even some carbohydrates are fine. I'm like, they are? Really? Okay, whatever. And then he said, then he hits me with a couple of things that I at first don't believe him. I don't believe him. And turns out he's right. He says, did you know? He goes, you're taking Zepbound now? I go, yeah. He goes, did you know that your stomach is full right now from the food you ate yesterday? Even if he's like, if you didn't eat anything today, and I didn't when I saw him, I hadn't eaten because I'd been only eating one meal a day. He's like, whatever you ate last night is still in your stomach right now, and that's part of the reason why Zepbound works. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, that cannot be true. Like, how does that make any sense at all? Like, I don't understand. What? And he's like, it's true. And I'm like, really? I haven't heard that. He goes, it's true. I'm like, okay. He's the doctor. With peace and love. I'm not a doctor. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. And then he says something else that is very interesting. He says, and they don't even know why or how GLP-1s work. And I said, that can't be true. And he's like, it is true. I'm like, they don't know how GLP-1s work. He goes, they don't know how GLP-1s work. They know that it slows the stomach down so that your stomach stays full a lot longer, like 24 hours, like really, really slows down. But they don't know why, and they don't know what's going on. And so I'm learning. So I want to argue with him. But again, he's the doctor. I'm not. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to do some research because that sounds weird to me. Okay. I mean, I know I got the COVID shot too because I work in long-term care and they required all of us to get the COVID shot. The whole long-term care industry required every person who works in long-term care get the COVID shot. Turns out for not good reasons. So I know that there are times when apparently you can be prescribed a shot, a vaccine or something that they don't know what it does. And when they find out it's bad things, they're like, oops, my bad, sorry, So when he says they don't even know how it works, I'm like, God, I hope that's not true. I hope. Have I been suckered twice? Fool me once, I take the COVID shot, I start having all these problems with it. But then fool me again, give me a shot of GLP-1, and you're like, we don't know how it works, we're just guessing. I mean, egg all over my face, right? Like, what an idiot I am. So I'm like, I got to look into that. And now we're wrapping up. Now, this conversation only takes 5 minutes. We're in the aisle. of the grocery store. His girlfriend is buying like 18 pounds of coffee. I'm buying 18 pounds of hamburgers and chicken wings. To each his own, right? And so it's like a 5-minute conversation. But then he says something that just drives me the most crazy. And, again, peace and love. He doesn't know. Fair. But this is what he says. We're leaving. We're parting ways. We're saying our goodbyes. It's nice seeing you. I say, I've been doing a podcast. I would love to have you on it. He kind of nearly pats me on my head as if there's no chance he's going to come and listen to someone like me who thinks they know everything and probably doesn't, which is fair. But he says, you have to take that for the rest of your life. I was like, take what? He goes, Zepbound, the GLP-1, you have to take it for the rest of your life. You know that, don't you? And again, I know I'm dumb. I know I'm not dumb. I know that I'm. You know what it is. You know what it really is. Because I want to be. I want to be playful and call myself like slow or dumb or a knuckle dragger. It's a Marine Corps thing. We always call ourselves jarheads or knuckle draggers. We kind of like that you don't expect much from us because then we can come in and surprise you in all kinds of ways, especially fast and furious. But here's the real thing. I always think I think the best in people. And so I kind of, when somebody is taking a dig at me, I don't generally recognize it right off because I'm not in my space thinking, I know they're going to be disrespecting me. I know they got something negative to say about me. I don't live in that world. And so I'm usually just taken by surprise when they're taking a dig. And again, he's probably not taking a dig. I know he just doesn't know what he's saying, but with peace and love. He says, you have to take it for the rest of your life. And I'm like, I don't understand what you mean. Like, what would happen if I stopped taking it? He goes, oh, you'd gain all the weight back. I immediately wanted to go, I wanted to stop him. And I wanted to say, I was like, yeah, but have you ever done Weight Watchers? And he goes, no. And then his girlfriend's like, we have to get going. And gone he goes. So I'm never able to explain to him about Weight Watchers. And so let me share with you what I learned on Weight Watchers. I did Weight Watchers for 6 years. I lost 150 pounds. If you're wondering hey, where do I begin on my weight loss journey? I would invite you to consider starting with a diet that closely resembles your lifestyle now. if your lifestyle right now is like keto, where you're only eating meat and very few vegetables and fruit, then you know what? Maybe keto all in is for you. If you're, low fat, high carb, egg whiting it right now, then with peace and love, I would say maybe Weight Watchers is the better place to start, right? Because I think trying not to make so many big changes all at once, trying to make too many changes all at once, I think it's what leads to failure. It has led to failure in my journey anyway. But let me tell you this is the Weight Watchers saved me. I mean, saved me. So I have nothing but love for Weight Watchers. The whole program. I learned that you can cheat it, and I'm a cheater, so be careful with that. But here's the number one takeaway with Weight Watchers. As long as you track your food, you know how much food you should have a day. And in Weight Watchers, it's how many points you should have. And then B, how many points each food is, so you can map out. Like I had 60, when I first started, I think I had like 64 points a day, which is crazy, I know. But that's how heavy I was. 64, see that guy in the blue shirt over there? That's right before I joined Weight Watchers. That's what I look like. Massive. I had 64 points a day, which to me meant I had 21 points for breakfast, 21 points for lunch, and 23 points or 22 points for dinner. That's kind of how I managed it, right? Like I mapped it out. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to get a 21 point breakfast, a 21 point lunch, a 22 point dinner. And if I went over my points, like I would eat too much at lunch and I'd get over my points, I would just go to bed. I swear. I mean, I'd go to bed at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, anything to avoid eating because you can't be over your points. If you're over your points, you're going to gain weight. If you stop tracking, you're going to gain weight. Now, I did Weight Watchers for 6 years, and I went down, up a little bit, down, up a little, down, up a little bit. And every time, when I look back at my journey over Weight Watchers, every time I gained weight, and I mean this, every time, it's because I stopped tracking. When I stopped tracking, I stopped paying attention. When I stopped paying attention, this little thing called carb creep moves in, and one slice of pizza turns into two slices of pizza turns into a Chinese food run. A Chinese food run, I mean, if you're going to Chinese, you might as well have dessert, so stop at your favorite bakery, buy a blueberry pie. Not kidding. So I want to say this to my doctor friend, my cardiologist friend, but he's gone and I can't say it to him. But I want to say it to you. If you stop dieting, whatever diet it is, if you stop dieting on keto, carnivore, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, the whole 360, the paleo diet, Atkins, the F Factor diet, deal a meal. I was around with Deal a Meal with Richard Simmons. My mom was a big fan of Deal a Meal. Herbalife. I mean, you name the diet. I have the book. I've read the book. I've done the study. I've tried the work. And every single time, I stopped following the diet. Every time. Doesn't matter what diet. It does not matter. As soon as I stop paying attention, as soon as I stop tracking, as soon as I'm just going to live my life. I'm just going to, you know what? I'm not going to stress over it. It's just too hard. I'm too stressed. I'm too whatever. Every single time I've gained weight. So my doctor friend, who at this point I'm going to go ahead and label him as Dr. Obvious, but he doesn't know he's being obvious. So with peace and love, I'm trying not to hate. When he and everybody else in the world says, you know, if you stop taking that GLP-1, you're going to gain weight and like 4 times faster and 3 pounds heavier, and you're going to gain even more weight even faster than you ever, did before. Yeah, okay. That's not GLP-1. That's not Weight Watchers. That's not Atkins. That's not paleo. That's not Whole 360. That's not Herbalife. That's not Deal a Meal. That's not carnivore. That's not keto. That's not the Lion diet. That is just simply dieting. That is dieting 101. When you stop dieting, you gain weight. Here, I wrote a whole book on it. It's called Adventures in Dietland. How to win at the game of dieting from a former fat guy. Me. I'm the former fat guy. Me. And in this book, I talk about all the behaviors that I learned that were sabotaging me. And the number one behavior that sabotaged me again and again and again is quitting, giving up, stopping the diet, instead choosing something else that wasn't the diet. Every time. All right, I want to get out of here really quick here. So let me tell you what the biggest thing I learned this week, which has been blowing my mind, and this is what the doctor said that turns out to be true. One thing he turns out that I've been able to verify that is true. The other thing I've not been able to verify that is true, but I think I know what the answer is. Again, do me a favor, join my team, do a little research. If you find out the answer to these questions, and if I'm wrong in any way, let me know. Help a brother out. I want to know. Okay, so first and foremost, he said that your stomach slows down when you take a GLP-1. And so that your food sits in your stomach longer, which is why, one of the reasons why you're not hungry. I did not buy that for 1 second. I'm like, that cannot be true. And then I looked it up, and it turns out it's true. Okay, all right. Now the question is, why is it true? And how does that whole thing work? And again, a nod to my, 10th grade biology teacher. I swear, if she saw me now, she would be so impressed with my interest in biology. But from what I understand, this is what happens. When food enters your stomach, it stretches. There is a mechanical shift in your stomach when food starts to enter. There's a physical movement. That physical movement, which in the biology research I'm reading, literally calls it stretching. When your body begins to stretch, it signals a hormone to ask a question. What is in the stomach? And this hormone starts doing an inventory as food's going in and making this stretch. And it's going, this is the fat, this is the protein, this is the carbohydrates. It's taking an inventory. That inventory, coupled with that stretching, triggers a hormone. And you're never going to believe what the hormone is called. Any guesses? That's right. It's called a GLP-1. I'm going to be honest. Again, a little bit of a knuckle dragger here. Forgive me for not knowing this. But I didn't know that GLP-1 was a natural hormone that we all have. I thought it was like a synthetic hormone that was just created in a lab. I didn't know that my body already produced GLP-1. Who knew? Well, apparently, I didn't know. So it turns out the stretching happens. This inventory, fats, carbs, protein, starts to happen, and it sends us, and it activates these hormones, a couple of hormones, one of them being GLP-1. And that GLP-1 sends signals in two directions. Poof, all at once. Boom. One signal goes straight to the pancreas, and the pancreas gets all up on arms. It's like, yes, what? I hear it. Is there a little bell going off? What? What is the pancreas going to do? The pancreas is going to produce insulin. See, pancreas is notified by that GLP-1 hormone that food has entered the stomach. Great, we're on edge. Okay. If you need me, I'm here. Now they're watching that inventory. How many carbs, how many protein, how many fat? Because that pancreas is like, do you need me? Do you need me? Do you need me? Do you need me? The liver is off to the side. The liver's off to the side. They're also getting notified that there's stuff going on in the stomach, but they're not doing anything yet. They're not doing anything. They're just still on guard because they're going to listen to the pancreas. Whatever the pancreas does, they're going to react to. So the pancreas gets on edge, goes, okay, what do you want me to do? Do you need me? Do you need me? And the liver's going, well, if you need him, you're going to need me. All right, if you're going to need that, you're going to need me. At the same time, now this is where it gets super, super interesting. And again, I don't know enough, so I'm excited about it. And if you know, tell me, I want to know. At the same time, the GLP-1 sends a signal straight up this thing called the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve? Vagus nerve. This is a direct line from your stomach poof, right to your brain. Boom. Have you ever heard the theory that your stomach is actually a second brain? Am I the only one who's heard that? I swear I've heard that before. Okay. Super interesting. And it may be relevant. Who knows? So the GLP-1, so let me put this again. Food enters your stomach, stretches. At that moment, your body, due to the stretching, releases hormones. These hormones, one of them starts taking an inventory of whatever's going in your stomach. How much fat, how much protein, how much carbohydrates, which is going to tell the pancreas what to do or what it needs the pancreas to do, if anything. Same with the liver. The GLP-1 is the one that immediately alarms the pancreas, hey, there's food in here. And the pancreas goes, okay, we're on it. At the same time, it shoots a message up. Think of it like you ever go to those drive-ins. I don't even know if they have them anymore. They must, but a bank, I do all banking online. But you put the check in, you sign it, you put it, and it goes floop, and it goes to the bank teller. That's kind of how I look. That's kind of how I rudimentary think of the vagus nerve. So it shoots up the vagus nerve to the brain, and it tells the brain, hey, we have food here. The brain knows you have food here, of course, but you have food here, and everything, all systems are working. Everything is a go right now. Food's coming in, stretching is happening. We're identifying the protein, the carbs, and the fat content. The pancreas has been notified. The liver has been notified. And now you can actually turn off the pleasure centers. So the pleasure center, now, again, I'm going on a limb here. I don't know what I'm talking about, just so we're on the same page. I'm guessing, okay? The pleasure centers in the brain, i.e. the hypothalamus, whatever, that produces the hormone, the dopamine hormone, to seek pleasure. The idea of that hormone, of dopamine, is to attract, it's like our body is craving something, needing something, so it wants that dopamine so that we crave it, right? Like it's that craving thing. The GLP-1 tells the brain we have food, no need to crave food. See, that's interesting because I don't know if you've ever heard this turn of phrase, but I used to live and die by my eyeballs were bigger than my stomach. Meaning, for a long time, I would be craving food way past I had enough to eat. Like I was already full. I was already done eating. I was like, oh. And I still like, oh, well, let me have one more. Oh, let me have a little bit more of that. Oh, let me just one more slice of pizza. Oh, one more cupcake. Oh, one more. Right? Like, that's how I always was, right? So the idea that the GLP-1 tells your brain, shut off the dopamine. We have food. You don't need to keep craving it. Is interesting. It's an interesting concept to me. Because where I'm taking this is what's super interesting at the end of the day here is that when you start taking a GLP-1 and it builds up in your body, now all of a sudden that GLP-1 is not triggered by the food entering your stomach, the stretching causing the hormone coming out, starting to do the inventory. The GLP-1 is always there in the background now. Because of the Zepbound, every Wednesday, I took my shot today. Every Wednesday, 2.5, by the way, that's my... And by the way, I told my that doctor friend of mine, in the story, he goes, what dose are you on? I said 2.5, and he goes, wow, that's really low. That's microdosing. Is it? Dr. Boz had me start at 0.8 or 0.6 or something. I was like, well, I don't know. Anyway, so there's this GLP-1 that is constantly in the background. And that GLP-1, and again, I'm guessing, is telling my mind, hey, you don't need to turn on the dopamine. You don't need to crave the food. You don't need to crave anything because the presence of GLP-1 is an indicator that there's something going on in my stomach that doesn't need any help. We don't need to crave anything. We're already being nutrient. We already have the food. Isn't that an interesting way of looking at it? Maybe it's not the right way. I'm not sure. But that is an interesting way of looking at it. And then I start thinking about that and I start researching the stomach. And it turns out that he's right that the stomach, when it has food, coupled with the GLP-1, the dopamine signal is turned off in the brain, the stomach slows down. and starts to do its job of breaking down the food at a much smaller pace. Pace. It starts slowing down at a much slower pace, and it takes a lot longer for your stomach to empty because of the presence of the GLP-1 is so pronounced in your brain, to the signal of your brain, because it's not a little GLP-1 that I imagine without taking this GLP-1, my body would trigger GLP-1 production, but it would not be, certainly not at the level of this, right? Like this is making it so the GLP-1 in my body is not only there all the time, but there's a lot of it, a lot more of it anyway, or simply more of it. And so my brain is turning off the dopamine receptor, so I'm not craving food, and my stomach, instead of normally acting like a slip and slide, I gotta tell you, I would pack, again, a little fat story, I would pack a lunch. I'd wake up in the morning, I'd have breakfast at 7 a.m. I'd have oatmeal, I'd have egg whites, I'd have broccoli and chicken in it. I wouldn't have butter, I was on Weight Watchers. I'd do a little spray butter on my toast, whatever, wheat toast, of course. I'd pack a lunch, and then I would drive to work, and it would take me 45 minutes to drive to work. And you know what I would do on that drive to work? Eat my lunch. That's right. I would eat breakfast, I'd pack a lunch, and then I'd eat lunch on the way to work. By the time I got to work, I was hungry again. It was like every 90 minutes, every 2 hours, I was hungry again. Like the food just went right through my stomach. Like the dopamine switch never turned off. And I don't know if that means that the GLP-1 hormone just wasn't able to keep up, or my body wasn't producing enough. I don't know. Obviously I don't know. But it is very interesting now that I have that like higher level baseline of GLP-1 going through my body all the time, that it is doing a couple of things. One, it's telling my brain, turn off the dopamine. We're not in a scarcity effect here. You don't need to be craving anything. Two, it tells my stomach, hey, slow down, take your time, really get all the nutrients out of this food that you put in there, right? And then number three, I'm doing keto, which is high fat protein. So that already keeps you satiated longer. So it's like a win-win-win kind of thing, right? Like it's like a triple threat, right? So I think, and so he was saying that doctors don't know why the GLP-1 works. And I'm not a doctor. I've not done the research. But what I did is, let me ask you this. Does it make sense to you what I just said? Because it's making sense to me the way that I'm looking at it. The way that I'm looking at it is, it's like there's this book called How to Become a Master Student. And quick little sidebar story. I quit school at 16. Dumbest decision I ever made. Went into construction because my guidance kind of took a test, and they said that I was a hands-on learner. And in the 80s, if you were, at least in my high school, if you were deemed a hands-on learner, they thought that meant you were only good for construction. Turns out that is really misguided. But my guidance counselor didn't know any better. I'm going to try to say it with grace and peace and love. He likely didn't know any better, didn't realize that being hands-on could also mean if you were able to explain it. Because I don't know if you have realized this at all, but I am an educator. It's in my DNA. I love to teach. I just love to teach. I love storytelling. I love explaining. I love learning. I love figuring out. But in the 80s, he said you have to work construction. And so I was like, why am I in school if I have to work construction? I had a little chip on my shoulder. I quit school. Anyway, fast forward 8 years. I worked in construction for 8 years. I'm 24 years old when I'm talking to my sister, and thank God for my sister, because I'm miserable. I'm miserable. And I hate my job, and I hate my life. And she says, you can go back to college. They have this thing called community college. You can do that. And I was like, what the hell is community college? Never heard of it before. Okay. Go forward another dozen years or so, and I get an associate's degree in creative writing and a bachelor's degree in U.S. history and a second bachelor's degree in business administration, a master's degree in organizational leadership. I've written 9 books. Okay, you get it. I'm so impressive. My point is this. Once I understood that I have a real gift of not only learning, but explaining what I learned to others, I wanted to become a master student. And so sure enough, there's a book called How to Become a Master Student. And I'm like, yes, sign me up. So I buy the book. And one of the things that it says early in the book, one of the suggestions it makes early in the book is to play classical music when you read. If you're one of those people who have trouble paying attention, like your mind wanders when you're reading, it's either for one or two reasons. One, it's because your mind, it's like a muscle, you just haven't built that muscle yet. Or two, it's because you are reading, you've read a word somewhere that you didn't understand, or you didn't really know the meaning behind the word or the context the word was given. And so if you find yourself, you start at the top of the page, you get to the bottom of the page and you think, I have no idea what the hell I just read. It's either because you're not strong enough as a reader yet, your mind is still wandering, or you go back up. Is there a word that you read that you didn't really know and you just kind of glossed over it? Because if so, your subconscious is still thinking about that word. Well, listening to classical music, which I still do to this day, has become the key reason, I think, that I'm able to read for long periods of time. And by long periods of time, I can sit down and read a book for a couple of hours. I can start a book and finish a book in a day. I'm not bragging. It's not like, I'm so super smart. It takes a lot of work. It is difficult to do. And listening to classical music so that my subconscious is given something to hold on to while I'm trying to read this book really helps me. And that is how I'm understanding the GLP-1. Like, because of the increased hormone of that GLP-1 hormone that's now in my brain, in my body, the increased amount, it is doing the same thing. I think I'm trying to reason. It's doing the same thing to my brain that is telling it, hey, relax with the dopamine, relax with the pleasure center. We're doing fine. You have plenty of food. You're going great. And it allows me to be successful on not just losing weight, but in fasting, in staying on keto, because I have very little cravings for sugary foods. I have not had any sugar or carbohydrate since beginning of August, let's say. So at least 6 months. At least 6 months now. Which is, by the way, the longest I've ever gone I can say this safely. This is the longest I've gone in my entire life. Even though I don't remember myself as a baby, a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old. Around 6, 7, I really do have a lot of memories. Trust me, when I was 6, 7, 8 years old, I never went out with sugar, right? Of course. But I guarantee the last 6 months were the only 6 months in 54 years, almost 55 years. 55 years. This is the longest I've gone without carbohydrates, without refined sugar, without refined carbohydrates. Longest I've ever gone. I cut my body fat in half. I'm under 200 pounds, the first time since 1997, 1998. I'm in a size 32 pant. What are we talking about? My brain is on fire. I'm so focused. I'm so clear. I'm reading 8 books at a time here. I can't get enough of it. I'm so fired up and interested and engaged, and I'm a better educator than I've ever been, and I'm more attentive than I've ever been, and I'm more positive than I've ever been. I mean, I wish I could here, I do have a little bottle. I wish I could fit keto, GLP-1, and fasting into this bottle and give it away. Here. It's my gift to you. All right, that's it. I've talked long enough today. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing, commenting, letting me know you're out there. That really, really, really would make me feel really great. And I'm on a learning journey. And so if you're on a learning journey too, and you're interested in talking to some crazy guy about dieting, and it doesn't even matter what diet it is, I'm so interested in all the diets, reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Ralph@ralphpeterson.com. That's my email. It's my direct email, my only email. Ralph@ralphpeterson. It's a super easy email. And if you want to hear a great story about a 350-pound guy who was sick and tired of being 350 pounds, I invite you to consider reaching out and getting this. It's also an audiobook. You can listen to me tell the stories. And although not all of it is relevant to my diet today, it is chock full of really, really great tips on dieting. And I'm a little anti-fasting in this book because I tried fasting for like 3 days and then I gained weight because I ate like an idiot when I was done. That was such a miserable fast. And now I'm fasting for 3 days a week, every week. And the only time that the hardest part of fasting for me right now is breaking my fast. Because I do it wrong every time. I got to figure out how to ease into it better. Peace and love. Thank you all so much. Tell your friends, tell your family, reach out, want to see you, want to talk to you. Love to have you on the show. See you guys later.